Okay.
Video on the dog.
That could be important. They look like batteries.
And they're lights. Okay.
Oh.
Camera rolling.
Action!
Okay. So, can you introduce yourself? Say your name, where you're from, how old you are, and how many tattoos you have.
Okay, am I looking into the camera?
So, like, look at me.
Okay. Okay.
Don't look at the camera, because
Okay.
it's gonna get that nice side
Natural.
view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, I'm nervous.
Don't be.
Hi, I'm Catherine McPartlan. I am a...
No. Start over. Look at me.
Okay. Okay. I can do this. What was the prompt?
Just introduce yourself. Like, where you're from, how old you are, how many tattoos you have, and you can say, like, I'm a student.
Okay. My name's Catherine McPartlan. I'm a senior at Gettysburg College. I have 0 tattoos, and I'm from Rowayton, Connecticut. Oh, and I'm 21.
So, why don't you have tattoos?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Big pause. If I can't hear it, then I talk.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's gonna, you like, okay, go again.
I'd say my initial reaction why I don't have a tattoo is because my dad would kill me. And it's easy to say, like, oh, like, I can't have it because of a parental obligation. I want to, for them to be impressed by me, for them to not be disappointed in my actions and my decisions. But at the end of the day, I have no desire to have a tattoo. And I don't know, I see other people having them nowadays and they're like kind of popular and trendy. But there's nothing that I've done in my life that I've been like, I need this on my body, that I've said this is so important that I want to carry it with me and visibly show to others how important it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you feel like, how do you feel like tattoos are viewed in society today?
Today it's a lot more different. Can I start over?
Be comfortable. You can take your time and be comfortable.
Okay. I think our opinions of tattoos have evolved today versus, I don't know, even when I was a little kid, being raised in a white household in Connecticut, like, not only my household, but like in my area, no one had tattoos. You walk down the street now and you see them everywhere. It's an art form. It's beautiful. It's praised, maybe. And before it was kind of like, it was frowned upon. And I think it's really cool now to see everyone expressing themselves and enjoying this culture of like beauty, I guess, in ourselves, and showing others that like I carry this with myself and I want to show you. But at the same time, I don't know, today they're much more accepted than they were before. I remember growing up and hearing you won't get a job if you have a tattoo, and now it's like, oh, my boss has one, all my friends have them. It's a norm.
Do you feel like there's a different view of women that have tattoos versus men that have tattoos? Like stereotypes maybe that a woman with tattoos, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I just kind of thought of it like people that had them or people that didn't have tattoos.
Do you feel like, let's look at tattoos on a more wider culture, like outside of the U.S. and like including the U.S., but how tattoos are viewed like around the world, like where they might be more acceptable and less of like now they're more aesthetic.
Yeah.
But,
What's your question though?
so I guess I'm asking like how do you feel like in what you know, what do you know about how tattoos are viewed in other areas of the world? Because you're so cultured.
I still don't get the question though. Like
in the U.S., it's kind of seen as a bad thing to have a tattoo, but in some cultures, like they're more common. And like, what do you know about how Americans use tattoos as more of like an aesthetic versus how it might be viewed in like India or other parts of it? Like,
okay.
You can talk about personal experiences, like when you've been traveling too.
I don't have a lot of the specifics right, but I know in certain cultures you get tattoos like when you've reached adulthood, and it's like a symbol of strength. And I'm not sure if it's like the Maasai warriors, but they like no, scratch that. That's wrong.
We're not using it all.
Yeah. But yeah, in other countries, other cultures, it is a symbol of strength to have tattoos. Like, I think if you are higher up within a village, you might have more tattoos. I hope I'm not just making that up, but I've definitely read that before. Whereas in America, I hate to say it, but I think our generation sometimes uses them as a source of venting. Like, I see people, sometimes it's like, oh, I had a bad day or a bad experience, like, let me go and put this on my body. And I don't know, I think I've always viewed a tattoo as something that should be a little bit more spiritual and meaningful, like something that's been calculated for like a long time. Like, oh, I've always loved this quote, I've read this book a million times, I need to have this on my body. Like, and I have a lot of respect for that. Like, okay, go and do that, you want to carry that with you. But I think if it's a spur of the moment decision, then, you know, down the road, how much, like, did you really reflect on that? Are you going to wake up one morning and say, this was the worst decision I've ever made, what have I done? Like, I'm stuck with this. I have a fear of that.
Do you think people with tattoos have a disadvantage in society?
No, not at all. I should repeat your question.
in means of the workplace, or like, also when you think about like a parent with a sleeve, like, is that are they going to be viewed differently as a parent who doesn't have tattoos?
I think people with tattoos don't have a disadvantage in society, but at the same time, they definitely are viewed a little bit differently. As someone who doesn't have a tattoo, I might look at them and say, oh, I wonder what the story is. But at the same time, I don't have one, so I'm not immediately connected to that person. I'm not, I don't have that immediate understanding of why they would have one, whereas somebody else who does have one might go, oh, like, I relate to you kind of instantly. It's not like a club, like, I have a tattoo, you don't, like, but at the same time, it is, like, I've noticed it, like, touch the thing, you'll see people like, oh my god, I love your tattoo, I have one that's very similar, and they'll, like, just hit it off, engage in conversation, and it's really something unique and, like, really cool to watch. But at the same time, I have no business in it. I just kind of stand there and I'm like, oh, I love this conversation, but I have nothing to contribute. I can't even be like, yay, like, human interaction. Like, I'm just a fly on the wall. So,
do you have a lot of people in your life that have tattoos?
Not really. My immediate family, there is no one that has a tattoo. None of my cousins do, to my knowledge. My uncle had a tattoo. He had two. He had them on both shoulder blades, and he actually had them removed. So in a way, I think I'm a little bit more distant to the idea of tattoos because of that. Like, my one family member that had one had them removed. So it's like, oh, like, if I get one, I'll have it removed just like he did. Obviously, we're not the same person, but it's, you see a family member do that and you go, oh, what's the point? But a good amount of my friends have, like, little ones. but it doesn't seem like a lot of them have a story behind it.
Do you feel like tattoos need to have a meaning?
Personally, I think tattoos should have a meaning. I think I think we're always growing and learning from ourselves 5 years ago. Like, we're always different people. And I think if you felt so strongly about something, then you should still be able to look back at it and say, that's who I was then. I may be different now, but like, it was part of my journey, and I felt like I needed it then. But I would hate to see someone I know like get something just for the hell of it and then wake up and be like, this was a really bad decision, bad placement, not cute. Like, I feel like I hear a lot of those horror stories or read about them on the internet, and it's too bad. It kind of gives it a stigma.
Do you ever find yourself judging people for them?
Judging people?
Yeah.
Wait, like this one.
Oh, okay. I actually have a story, I guess. Last night at the bar, this woman standing next to me had one like all over her forehead, and I just immediately, I was like kind of stunned. Was my immediate reaction. I was kind of like, oh wow, like, why would you do that to yourself? And then then I was like, oh well, it's her body, it's her life, she can do what she wants to do, and there's nothing wrong with her that she chose to do that. She just wanted to, have a tattoo on her face, I guess. I'm not trying to make fun of her at all, but I just don't understand, I guess. And I hope it doesn't come off as judgment ever. It's just I really don't understand sometimes.
Can you see yourself getting one in the future?
I don't want to like never say never, but I don't foresee myself getting a tattoo. I think I'm very indecisive, and that's not to say that people who have tattoos aren't, but I think if I were to have one, I would become distant from it, and I would grow to dislike it.
Do you think you would date someone with a tattoo?
I wouldn't have any problem with it, but I feel like, I don't know, I don't know, I have no problem with that, but I feel like I would be distracted a little bit.
Would you let your kids get tattoos?
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. My kids can have tattoos, it's fine.
Do you feel like, what, from your family's aspect, like what do you think is the restraint of getting a tattoo, and why it's not common?
I'd say, why is the tattoo not common?
Like, what is the opinions of your family?
Yeah.
I don't know if religion has
Let's
to
get
do with
religious.
it.
My dad is very, very Catholic. I don't know if it's like your body is a temple is his perspective. I don't want to put words into his mouth, but I went to Catholic school my entire life, and the whole like you are created in God's own image and likeness was really ingrained into my mind. Like, and I think if I were to get a tattoo, that would be the first thing my dad would say to me. Like, you've ruined your own personal image of God. And I'd kind of be like, whoa, chill out a little bit. Like, we knew this was going to happen if he's so omnipotent and omniscient. But at the same time, I think I think for my dad, it's a very religious thing, but also a very social opinion. He was in the banking world, and I was exposed to a lot of those people growing up. I remember like family dinners, it'd be like, oh, this is your like uncles, like, because it was just like a family at that point, and none of them had tattoos. I didn't see a single one of them with a sleeve, a little trinket, you name it, nothing. And that's not to say they weren't hidden somewhere, but like I never saw it, and I think you're like not being exposed to it at any point definitely influences me, because it's like, oh, like, why would I want something that I've never been exposed to, but also I've just like, no one else around me wants. I don't know.
How do you see when people say they get tattoos because they're trying to be rebellious or like go against their parents?
Oh, I hate when people say phrases like that. Like, I think the whole rebellious phase is just a phase. Like, those people don't really realize what they're doing. This is not going to end well.
No, it really muffles it up. I have like a question. I'm just trying to figure out which one's
If you want me to like reword anything, like, I know I can be a little choppy sometimes.
Can you answer again why you don't think getting a tattoo for rebellion is like a real?
It's gonna take a sweet time. Getting a tattoo for rebellious reasons. I think we do a lot of things for rebellious reasons. And I think getting a tattoo is so... I foresee is not the word I want to use. I've just always had this opinion as tattoos being like an ultimate form of permanence. And I'm like, it's just terrifying. Like, you're stuck with that. And like, even if you get it removed, you're still kind of have it faded. And I think if you're doing it as a rebellious reason, it's like, what are you doing? Like, go, I don't know, to a junkyard and break some cars. Go be rebellious there. Not on your precious skin. I don't know.
Would you get a tattoo if, like, let's say it only lasted like 4 years? Like, if you knew that it would be completely gone.
Yeah, I think so. But it like would have, if I were to do that and like have it be a temporary permanent tattoo, it would have to be something that I felt strongly enough about.
Do you think there are places where tattoos are more popular, like, you know, in cities or like even in professions that they're more common?
Okay. I feel like you see tattoos like New York City, DC. I was there this past summer, and they're like, it's becoming a more young, hip city. You see them more prominently. I'd say profession-wise, I mean, us 20-year-olds are taking over the world, so like they're everywhere. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like the next job I have out of college, everyone just kind of had one. So,
in terms of like, if you had a doctor with a sleeve, would you think that he was maybe not as good of a doctor?
No, if I had a doctor who had a sleeve or like a heart surgeon, he could still operate on me. Like, he earned his degree. He's no less than anybody else. He just chose to, like, I don't know, mark his journey. I respect it.
Do you think that your opinion is shared by society?
Ooh. I think maybe like my grandparents wouldn't agree, but maybe my parents are evolving. Like, that's the break. I think like 30s and younger would agree with me.
What are some stereotypes you hear about tattoos?
I love that question. So, yeah.
Is that the busiest driving?
This is like never been this much driving ever. Stereotypes. I mean, I remember. Sorry. Gotta fix myself.
Yeah.
I remember being, when I was little, action. When I was little, like I said, tattoos weren't anywhere in my area. So my only exposure to them really was through media. I guess if we went out of town, pretty much. And it was always a negative portrayal. It'd be someone, like a man's, like, gang sign and, like, locked up, maybe, if it was a show, right? And, or it'd be a woman and her tramp stamp. So it was never a positive portrayal or something that I was like, oh, I need one of those immediately. So I think the stereotypes have always immediately stigmatized the person who had them. And now I like the script has completely been flipped within the last 5 years, maybe. It's like an art form. You see these shows and it's like, oh, I have a bad tattoo and I want you to fix it. And the things that come out are like mind-blowing. They're so cool. It's like, that ugly thing was under that. Like, it's, to be a tattoo artist is a talent, and it's something that people, I think, forget because they're still wrapped up on this idea that it's bad to have a tattoo. But I think when you see beyond all of that, it's a cool thing. Like, and I know that I don't have one, but I can still respect people who have them and the fact that they wanted one and they want to show you a part of their life. And I think that's a really cool message.
Do you ever feel like, or have you heard that tattoos, like people with tattoos are lower class or maybe uneducated?
I used to hear that, I guess, a lot as a kid, that people with tattoos were uneducated or lower class. But I think as I've grown older and I've been able to form my own opinion, I don't think those things at all. Sometimes I will admit I see people with certain tattoos and I'm just like, that was a bad decision. Maybe we're not on the same playing field, but I definitely put myself into check and I'm like, we're all just people. There's nothing wrong with them. You know, don't be a dick. Like, they're just like me. They just wanted to express themselves a little bit differently.
Do you have friends who like have negative opinions about tattoos, and do you ever interfere when they're like, oh, tattoos are stupid, or like that person is dumb?
I don't think I've ever heard someone say anything negative about someone with tattoos. I feel like sometimes people with tattoos can be a little scary or unapproachable, but that's just because the person themselves can be a little like rough around the edges. But like a lot of my friends have tattoos and I wouldn't define them as scary or mean in the least. Like, yeah, they're not gonna growl at you or bite you if you go up and say hi.
You're doing great.
Oh, I'm so glad.